Welcome back to my chronic illness journey, part 11. So we're probably up to 2025. In 2025, there was some things that happened in my personal life. I went back to work at a call center. Um, but it was around the time that I was off my injections because of the health insurance saying you can't have your hematologist in this group and your PCP in that group. So, as I mentioned last time I was talking about neutropenia, guess what happened? I got sick. I got COVID. I was out for weeks. Now, I was fairly new to the job. I'd only been in the job for like a month and a half, 2 months. I got Paxlovid. I got over the COVID. I managed to maintain the job. They let me come back. But of course, what does my body do? It goes and gets sick again. And you guessed it, there goes another job. So now I've lost 4 jobs total to my health issues over the years. Minimum of 4 jobs. Is it just 4? Actually, I think there were a couple more along the way, but 4 main ones were the throat abscess, the bronchitis, the series of events that led to my white blood cells being 0.2, and then the last one last year when I got COVID, and then it followed up by an episode of bronchitis. So I'm out of work again. I'm living on my own at this point, so obviously this is really, really bad news for my finances. I finally get back to a new hematologist, and he says, they run some tests again. Always running tests. They didn't do quite so many because they looked at my whole back history and they're like, you've already been tested for all these. So they basically just re-verified that my white blood cells were, still doing what my blood cells do, sit down in the danger zone of 0.8 in neutrophils and 1.7 white blood cells. And he's like, okay, about the injections. He goes, have you considered doing, because of the pain level you get on, have you considered doing self-injections? Which I was like, oh, having to do the inject myself, that feels, he's like, I'm not sure if I can handle doing but he said if I did, instead of the big injection, but small injections several times a week, that may reduce the pain level. And so I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I will admit I was a bit squeamish at first about doing my own injections. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But I did it, and I got in the habit of it. And we tried the injections 3 times a week at first, and then he went and he checked. I was coming back I went back and forth a lot at that time. So in one way it worked. You could say that I was out of work at that time because this was a lot of testing we did at that time. I had my blood drawn like multiple times a week and stuff as we went back and forth between the injections and checking the white blood cell counts. And we ended up going to 2 times a week. And then for a while, every week, and then every 2 weeks, and then every month, I would then come in and they would check where I was. My white blood cells were around the time I was about the day of or the day before my next injection. And the one time when they took it, like, my white blood cells right after the injection shot like really high, like above, like it went past the green into a different section of red. But they took my white blood cells counts the next day, and my system had destroyed, like it from it 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 destroyed a lot. My system had destroyed a lot of white blood cells in just a single day. Um, like it halved, like it destroyed half the white blood cells in a single day's time period. It's like, wow, I knew my system was out there destroying my white blood cells, but to see that count was kind of bewildering. Um, so we went to twice a week I was doing self injections, and um I was staying healthy. I was back on the healthy track. Like, well, not healthy. I'm not healthy. I'm never really healthy, but like my white blood cells were back in the green. I wasn't getting sick again. I wasn't getting like ill like I had been, like I was when I'd been off them again. And then obviously I need to find work. I mentioned before, I don't have a vehicle. I was living in a small town that did not have very consistent public transportation. None basically on the weekend, and it cut off really early in the night. And every job that I applied for was like, well, we need you to be able to work. That they were interested in hiring me. They were like, we can't have you not working these hours, but I didn't have a driver's license at this point. I just had a state ID. I'd been using public transport for years. And, you know, so that was when I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. Obviously, without a work job, I can't maintain an apartment. And that is why I ended up having to moving cross country, and I'm currently staying with family. But because my application for health insurance through the state has been pending for almost 3 months, guess who's not on her injections again? Guess who's been sick? Guess who had bronchitis? Guess who's still recovering? That is not the end of the story, because there is more. There's more. There's still more. Even after this. This is where I currently sit in my neutropenia. But there's other things still to go over. So wait for part 12.